Shalom, shalom, shalom. The new link is here. Hopefully everybody's still on with us. It's part 2. Shalom, sis.
All right.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, good. Just got to make sure all the people get back on now.
All right.
It was getting good, and I don't know what happened. It just dropped. It just dropped out.
Sometimes when you screen share, like I learned that sometimes when I screen share, it goes black.
Okay.
If you said present to all, sometimes with the Google Hangouts, it'll just black out on you.
Oh, and then you got to start a new one.
And and then you got to start a new one. Or the people think something's wrong and they click out.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure because it just went dead. It just went everything.
Once you tried to share the screen, like I saw the screen, I'm not sure if they saw the screen.
Right. They're calling me. They finding out if we back on. We back on. You got to look for the link. All right. We're back on. I don't know where you get the link from. If you get an email from it, or I don't know how you get it on. If you get it on Facebook, I'm going to post it back on Facebook. All right, Shalom. Yes, sis. Yeah, they was on fire. They was on fire. It was about 20-something people in the chat for Friday night. That's really good because most people is already sleeping.
Okay. When they come back to the page, when they come back to your page, it says live now, and that's where they could get the link from. It's like right there with that box. They just click on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see. I usually post it in every room that I'm a member of. And I know some people definitely get it that way. Because they're you know how it be. Some people they used to doing things one way.
It's true.
They don't know how to go find it. They just used to doing it one way.
It's true.
So once they do it that way,
I saw that scene. That's the scene that has everybody like, see, I told you. That's the scene right there. That's the white man's religion. That's the white man's book. No, not at all.
Oh, that's the Kemetic people.
Yeah. That's the scene that you trust and believe. From now, you're gonna see that scene everywhere, and you're gonna see a lot of conversation around it because that's what they're using, but that's not the fullness of the conversation, and that's what research and continuous study will show us, that what they're saying is not the fullness of the conversation. She told you a little bit about it, the fact that they did not teach you, nor were you allowed to read, or they did not teach you the entire Torah.
Right.
They said it was. They said it was 2 things they would tell you. I'm gonna let the people know when they come back. And this is something continually, and some of them wouldn't even let you go to church.
Right.
So how could they force something on you that they didn't even let you partake in?
Right. They didn't even let you partake in.
Yeah. So I've read narratives. They were like, no, my master didn't let me go to church. It wasn't until the abolitionists started burning a fire basically on them to say, hey man, you guys are out of pocket, and they wanted to save face. The South wanted to save face, so they started allowing a lot of their enslaved individuals to attend service only after the Europeans had already finished. And this is why you see a lot of black people, so-called black people, like to stay at church really late. It comes from that space in slavery when they weren't allowed to go in the morning, neither when the Europeans were there. They had to go afternoon service.
Oh wow. Yeah, they couldn't occupy the same space.
Right. They couldn't go to service with them. So they had to, sometimes the white people let them use their place after they're done. And so they had to wait until the afternoon. And because they were quote unquote on their Sabbath on Sundays, this is when they were off from work, so to say, and were able to go to their religious services.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know.
So this is why I said these generalities that we use with slavery is doing it a disservice, because that was not everybody's circumstance. It's
right.
it's like our past captivities. Jeremiah's issue wasn't somebody else's issue. You know, some people, like in Babylon, Daniel was before the king. Somebody else may have been in another position.
Right.
And
right.
we assume everybody was in the same position, and they really weren't.
They really weren't. Yeah, you're right about that. So we were checking out. I could see that now a lot of people are kind of off. They probably just went to sleep. So they'll just catch it tomorrow, I guess, part 2. So what we were reviewing is we're going to try to screen share this thing again so that our sister could review it. I don't know if everybody caught it the last time. Let me see here. Let me try to screen share this thing again. Give me 1 second here. Go to YouTube. Make sure I'm over here. Shalom, shalom. I know a lot of people have left. Yeah, I played the scene, but when I played the scene, everything went blank. So what I'm going to do is try to play the scene again and make sure and hope that everything doesn't go blank. Me and the sister, Amuna, was able to see the scene, but I don't know if everybody else was able to see it. When I played the scene, so here we go. We try to play the scene again, and she's going to try to break it down. Give me 1 second here. I'm not going to try to make it too big, because what's going to happen if I make it too big, then it might disappear. Give me 1 second here.
I'm Matilda, ma'am. This is my father, Reverend Mine.
Your son said you were one of them. Faith.
I am. But it ain't your faith. I ain't interested in the white man's God. My dad said the only reason I was okay is because I got beat into it.
The Lord said, why don't we get our gifts up? I'm finished. I know my Lord failed. He loved me, and it does you too. Amen. Let's dance, my friend.
You ever preach from the book of Exodus?
Well, yeah.
Why preacher don't let no slave preacher man talk about the Israelites and Pharaoh, do they? No slaves marching across the sea to be free. Let the pages come right out your Bible. Stop preaching about Exodus by yourself swinging from a low level.
Mama, folks say like that's a hard situation. And that's what folks are getting God trying to do.
How does God make slavery go away? I meet you in church every Sunday.
All right, there you have it, the infamous scene that everybody's talking about. You try to explain it a little bit more, sis?
Yeah, Kay, like that, like you said, the infamous scene, right? Is one to say wings. You know, I'm a context queen here, and the context of the conversation is a few things. Firstly, the story starts off with Kunta Kinte and him being Muslim, Islamic, right? This is where it starts off with him in Africa. Kizzy is his daughter. She was born and raised in the same way. He did not forget his ways where he came from, the religion of his foreparents. So therefore, this introduction of quote unquote Christianity or the Bible against the Quran, Kizzy is rejecting that thought process, because Kunta is teaching her her lineage. He's teaching her where she's from. He's teaching her the language and all of these things. And so when she's separated from him, because that's her son, and she was raped by the slave master. So when she's separated from him, to a degree, she's rejecting everything that represents A, what her father didn't teach her, and B, the people who afflicting her and her parents and her father and brought her here. So she was very in touch. She was first generation born in America. I just wanted to say that. So now back to the slave master's religion. This slave master's religion is a version. It's just like any other, it's just like a Methodist, a Baptist, a Jehovah's Witness. It's a version of Torah. It is not Torah. And so people, like we see, go into spaces and pick out what is suitable to them, what's going to suit their agenda. Through the narratives that we have read in the Left Project, we see the reoccurring theme that there's two things the master really, really cared about. A, don't steal from me. and B, obey your master. So they were quoting out of one, they only took one of the commandments, okay, because you were allowed to worship idols, you were allowed to profane the Shabbat, you were allowed to disrespect your parents, you were allowed to do everything except for steal from the master. And this is what the masters drilled into their head. So when they say the white man's religion, they were not presenting what Torah says. And there's a European woman, and I'll let her say it because sometimes we may be like, Muna's bugging out. But this woman is named Frances Ann Kemble. She said the same thing, and this is the way she said it. She said in her book, this is a journal of a residents of a Georgia plantation. She said, basically, she said, there's an immensely strong devotional feeling among these poor people, meaning Black people. The worst of it is that it is a zeal without understanding, meaning, again, they have no knowledge. Why? Because we don't want them to read so that they can figure it out for themselves. And what we're telling them is going to keep them ignorant. She says, and profits them but little. So we're all fervent. We're all, you know, they were all in the church. They were clapping and they were singing. But the European is over there laughing because he know he only gave you one slice of the pie or one piece of the puzzle. He says, yet light is light, even that poor portion that may stream through a keyhole. And I welcome this most ignorant profession of religion in Mr. Butler's dependents. This is her husband's slave, as the herald of a better and brighter things for them. So she's telling her friend, this woman named Elizabeth, that she is noticing that the slaves are very excited and they're praying and they're worshiping, but what the things that they're repeating are not biblical. The things that they're repeating is what the slave master told them. So when they say the slave master's religion, they're not talking about Torah. They're talking about the safe understanding of what the slave master gave them. So you see Kizzy in this scene saying that very same thing. Kizzy says, I bet you won't go to the book of Exodus. I bet you won't speak about the Israelites. Why? Because you'll be hanging from a tree like some strange fruit, because you were forbidden. If you was they would either hire slave or European men to preach to the slaves, or B, if you were a Black man, so-called Black man, you were allowed to preach, but you were only allowed to preach certain things. There are certain narratives that if a pastor came and told the slaves something that the slave masters didn't want them to know, they would want to get at them. They would want to fight them. They would want to roll on them. We just was reading that, if I'm not mistaken, in Henry Box Brown. So that's my breakdown briefly on that, is that it's more to the story, and we shouldn't just run with that one scene to say, see, the book is the white man's book, or see, they're talking about the Israelites. It's more deeper. It was a culture. They had pamphlets, they had meetings, they had conferences of what was acceptable to tell your slaves to keep them in position. So that's my thoughts on that, brother. Is definitely deeper. But this book right here and many others tells you about basically what they told you, and it was obey your master and do not steal. That's about it.
Hey, but you know, as far as what somebody wrote in the comments, you know, the reason why he was praying to Allah and he was making his salah and doing all of that is because at that point we were already infiltrated. As far as other religions. Don't forget that when we came into slavery, we were sold off by all different types of people. You know, we already adopted the slave master's religion, and we adapted the religion of those people that were around us. So it wasn't a strange thing for us to be worshiping Allah. We came from West African traditions. Yoruba and you know, worshiping Shango and all those other gods, because we adopted the ways of those who were around us. But one thing that they knew is that we were different tribes. They knew that we were a different people. That's why they were able to gather us up and sell us into the slave master and do all the things that they were able to do, because they understood that we were not the same people. They knew that there was a difference between us and them, and that they did not want that, you know, that kind of thing with us. So it was easy to sell us into slavery. It was easy to do all those things. because they knew that we were not them. And that's basically it. Go ahead, sister.
No,
You got something else to say?
I think that the point is good to note that this study in this area is definitely needed as we continue to have this conversation. The expanse of this 400 years that everybody keeps talking about. I mean, if you pick any spot within there, I promise you, we won't meet yet, because it's so wide and it's so vast. When you look at how many people were involved, the English, the Dutch, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, you know, all of them are involved, and all of them involved at different times. All of them are doing, although they're passing one another, they're going to their, wherever they broke up the new world, this is where their slaves are. So the culture, the people who they were capturing, they were Africans amongst us as well. You understand what I'm saying? Just how we came out of Egypt with a mixed multitude, the research is showing that, and they show it in the beginning, actually, the very opening scene of Roots. And I saw somebody was upset about this, but I'm like, is it true or is it not true? You could be upset, but the reality is that there was infighting, whether or not the European promised you rum, guns, trinkets, whatever. The truth of the matter is that, like Brother Uzziah just said, there was tribes selling neighboring tribes. They would go in to fight and then capture you as war captives and then sell you. A lot of African communities and tribes were complicit. People don't want to say that because, and I saw a whole back and forth, and some Ghanaians were upset. But the question is it true? And not Henry, what's his name again? He went to Africa and he did not Lou Gossett Jr. His name escapes me. It'll come back. But he went there and he spoke to the Ashanti tribe headsmen, and he spoke to other people, and he got a
Gates, Henry Louis Gates.
Henry Louis Gates. Thank you so much, because his name was going back and forth. Henry Louis Gates. And if you haven't seen that documentary, that's a good one to see, because, and the Ghanaians, can you believe, he wrote a paper, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, he wrote an article, and the Ghanaians went in. So,
and I seen that documentary where they admitted that they sold off different tribes.
Yes.
It came on PBS.
Yes.
When the rivers cry or when the waters cry, something like
that. Correct. So there's many people that we need to revisit on this conversation, not just the European. The European, there's no way the European could have done all of this on his own. No way in the world. There's no way in the world. And so, like you said, we are already in this space. We are already in these places because we have turned our back on the Creator. Our foreparents did. We weren't just like, yo, you know what? West Africa is a good place to chill. I'm just about to go over there. It didn't happen like that. Like, oh, you know what? I want a vacation on the Atlantic. No, we were running.
Right.
Why were we running? Because the Most High said the sword will pursue you. There's a book called Kwame, the Last Slave of West Africa. In the book, he speaks about the story, the native story of how some quote unquote Yehudim or Jews, and this was before Ghana was Ghana and Nigeria was Nigeria, and he speaks of them coming up into the area, I forgot what they call the area, and settle there and intermarrying. I thought that was interesting. And so we were all throughout this place, and we were amongst Berbers, other tribes as well. And like you said, we adopted, our foreparents adopted these other religions, just like they did on these sides of the water. So it's not strange that in the story of Kunta Kinte, they're Islamic, because Islam already came through that area by that time.
Right. It's not far-fetched.
No, it's not.
It's not something that we could that we have to be afraid of, because it's basically what happened. We didn't come here. We had some semblance of what, like I said, like we had some semblance that we were a different people, but we also came here with a lot of adopted ways that we picked up along the way. Remember, from Northeast Africa to West Africa is a long distance.
It is.
So along the way, we picked up a lot of things, you know.
But you know what? And like you said, this might be a whole nother, because this all relates to everybody's like Deuteronomy 28:60. You know, everybody go hard on Deuteronomy, but if we just put a magnifying glass right there, the whole thing would just open up. And they were very aware. There was a papal bull. I have to get the exact. There was a papal bull that was issued, and when they first went into West Africa,
right,
they were familiar with quote unquote Jews. They were already familiar, and they said first, they didn't say first to go, because in Portugal, which was actually the first to really get it popping, who got this permission to go and do what they did, they already knew about quote unquote Jews. They already knew, because in Portugal and Spain and all of these things, Moors were all throughout this area. So it's not like, oh man, I have no idea who these people are. But they first went into spaces where Islam had not yet permeated. You understand? And they told them, hey, you know what? You can go down there and get them. And if they don't want to comply, you could just take them and take them with you. But at first, the European was not allowed, according to the crown, to take slaves the way they did. They weren't first allowed to take you from Africa and bring you straight to the New World. What they had to do, according to that papal bull, was take you back to Portugal, let you get acculturized, that's the word, right? And then take you over. But when that roadblock was removed, that's when it became no holds bars. So there's a whole introduction to the slave trade. It didn't just happen like, hey, let's go get them people down there. It happened progressively. And I think Brother Uzziah, we lost Brother Uzziah there. Uzziah, I don't know, I keep calling Uzziah. I'm thinking about the Torah right now. Brother Uzziah, I think we lost you. See if you come back here. Let's see if he's still here. Can you guys still hear me? His mic went out. And so I just want to say, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I think this conversation is, as it relates to our story, as it relates to our history, this is history that is still relevant to our experience here in the West. And just like it is very important for us to continually read and go over our stay in Egypt, what happened, the story, and the Most High even said, hey, when your children ask you, why do you do this? And you should have an answer ready for them. You know, and that bondage has revisited us in this space and time, and not to know the story of now as we know the story of then doesn't do us it doesn't do our children much good, because they're experiencing the after effects of what just happened. And so it's very important to know both, as well as the Babylonian captivity, Egyptian captivity, Assyrian captivity, and now this Western captivity, so that we can know what never to do again and what will happen as a result if we do these things again. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. My internet connection went out over there, but obviously you were still on, right?
Oh yeah, Ken, I was still here. Yeah, I mean, you know, I tell people it's a good thing I run my own little show, so I know how to hold it down till you come.
Torah YAH, Torah YAH.
No, I was just saying to everybody that just as it is very important for us to go over what happened in Egypt,
right,
for us to understand what happened to Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Babylon, it's just as important to understand Ezra. It is that important to understand now, because it's still affecting us.
Right.
In this space and time, and to shy away from that, but yet still be like, yeah, let's go to the book of Daniel. I'm like, huh? You know, to be like, it's the same thing.
Right. I told y'all the sister was 100% proof. You're gonna have to come on, and next time we have a speaking engagement, I'm gonna invite you to come with a PowerPoint so that you could come and put it on and do your thing, because I told you, see, our sisters are powerful. A brother like me, you see, brother, I want them to see my face. See, brother like me, I don't have a problem with my sisters coming up here and shining.
Hallelujah.
I'm not like that. Our sisters are very powerful. This sister right here, she knows her stuff. And this is what I be trying to tell y'all. Our sisters have to get on point. She could go on and tell you about a whole bunch of things.
And I just want to say to everybody that the way the Left Project is that we learn this stuff together. If we put 1 hour a week, which I put more than that, but if we put a minimum of 1 hour a week, just like we do on Shabbat. On Shabbat, we go in. When Shabbat is over, we start doing all kind of other stuff. And if we say 1 hour a week, I'm going to put towards learning something new about my recent history, you will see how much it changes your life and your perspective. You know, most definitely. But like you said, I could go on because this is my joint right here.
Listen, I could do this with people like you that you know, like certain people have their lanes and they know what they're supposed to do. And you just know that stuff. You just know you know it at length. So you have to let someone who has the understanding of something expound on it because that's their specialty. You know, so and you can't hold them back. You can't try to block them because you stunting them. And I'm all for the growth of the people, the nation, our brothers, our sisters. It's all about that. It's all about that growth. So I really appreciate someone like you. Like I said, I got to bring you back. I don't know if you know how to do PowerPoint presentations.
I could do a PowerPoint. I would just say I'll do a PowerPoint most definitely as it relates to some of the epigenetics of what the Torah said would happen, some of the instances in which it happened, and kind of how it's affecting us in this space and time. That's very important as we return to the truth, because we bring a lot of this, like everyone likes to say, the muck and the mire. We bring a lot of this stuff with us, and then we pervert the truth. So definitely I can go into that. I just want to say one more thing before I say Lala.
Absolutely, sis. Take your time. I'm here.
You see the necklace I had on in the thing, it says Zakar, right? I'm gonna tell you how the Most High works, and we gotta be careful. Many years ago, I had a song, so everybody knows me saying, Muna, sing that song, sing the Zakar song, you know, and the song is like asking the Most High to remember us and deliver us, right? And so I sung this song for about 8 years, and everywhere I go, people like, I'm gonna sing the song. One day, I stopped singing the song, and I'm talking to the Most High in prayer, you know, meditation, like, Most High, come on, remember us, deliver us. You said you would. And just a still voice was like, no, you remember. And so that's what I'm doing, is just helping us to remember, not to forget what we just came through, so that when we approach the Most High, it's not with a haughty spirit. It's not with our chest poked out high. It's not with the thought that the Most High owes us anything. It's with that humility and that brokenness to understand that, no, you owe the Creator everything, because the Most High blessed us to even be here, to have the opportunity to say Salak Lanu, to even have the opportunity to say, Most High, forgive our foreparents and remember what you promised to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So this is what the Zakar that you're seeing on the screen represents. It represents, I know it means male, and the male is supposed to remember, but I sung it so many times. Now the Most High made me a delivery person for this this narrative right here. So praise be to the Holy One.
Hallelujah. Sis, so I need a commitment from you. Can we do something next Shabbat night, a little presentation, a little PowerPoint? Will you be able to get that done by then, or is that too soon for you?
Nah, come on. Here's another thing and I remember back in the day, they always used to go into the Apocrypha, make no tarrying to turn on to the Most High. So when it is something to do for the Most High, I don't tarry, because I can't even promise tomorrow. But if the Most High allow me to see it, Cain, hallelujah.
Our sister Muna, there you have it. Next week, she's going to do a little PowerPoint presentation. We're going to begin at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Let your friends know. What we going to name it, sis? You got to come up with a name so I could.
All right. We're going to put it out there, Shabbat day conversation. I'll meditate on it.
Okay.
And we definitely are going to talk about the connections between Deuteronomy 28 and some of these slave narratives, and how it is affecting us today and why we can't get past it for some, you know.
Okay, so there you have it. Look, it popped up tonight. I always try to bring you somebody here that's gonna pop off, that's gonna do their thing. And this is what it's about. It's about growth, it's about true unity, it's about true love, and bringing this whole nation together, men and women. And we have very intelligent people out here that could break down all these things and make it happen. So to our sister, Amuna Yisrael, I'd like to thank you. To everyone that bear through the drop signals and all that tonight, I'd like to thank you also. May the Most High God bless you all. May the Most High God keep you and protect you. And may Yahweh give you a good night's sleep. And get up in the morning once again with me and do prayer service 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, right here on this channel, right here at this time. And may the Most High God bless us all. Shabbat Shalom and Laila Tov.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.